Good afternoon, crafting friends. This is Karen Decker here with another video for you, live from Castle Rock, Colorado, where it looks like we're getting some rain out there, which we all love. I'd like to have you join me today. Hopefully this will be less than an hour, so I won't keep you for a long time. But I've got some fun tricks to show you about partial die cutting, and I want to show you a special set that we have in our catalog that is now matched with a set of die, so we can do this partial die cutting in the Celebration catalog. So stick with me. Let me introduce myself here. Again, I'm Karen Decker here in Castle Rock, Colorado. I've been a Stampin' Up! Demonstrator for years, and COVID made me actually have to learn to go online and do Zooms and do classes in the mail where I would mail out cards and then we'd get together on Zoom or through this Facebook Live and I would show them how to make the cards. So I'm continuing that even though now we are getting back together, our clubs are back together. If you're interested in a club and you live here close to Castle Rock, or if you want to get card kits in the mail, just contact me. Typically the best way is through text. That's all on my blog. And my blog, I'm going to switch you back down here. My blog is stampalosifer.com. And at this blog, you will find all the catalogs on a catalog tab. You can click to go to a recipe box that shows all of the cards that I've done on my blog. You can click on the thumbnail of the recipe of the card picture and then go to the specific post that shows you all the recipe for that card. You can shop from there. You can join from there. So a lot happens on the blog. So hopefully with my blog and my little friendly Sal, we can bring a pinch of creativity to spice up your crafting world. So let's get started now. Let me show you this wonderful set. This is a stamp set called Shaded Summer. And amazingly enough, this is in the annual catalog. So I guess I should tell you that first. For those who weren't with me yesterday, I keep thinking, well, you were all here yesterday, but you may not have been. So right now we've got two catalogs ongoing. The annual catalog, that May through April catalog through April of 2022 with all 176 pages of stamps and Stampin' accessories and ribbons and trim and fabulous designer series paper kits and of course wonderful stamps with nice examples of what you can do with those stamps. So if you need a catalog, let me know. Then coming out in August, it was supposed to come out in July, but there were problems, so it came out in July. We have a new mini catalog. We used to call it holiday catalog, but now we call it mini catalog. It goes actually through like January, let's look at the back here, January 3rd. It says July to December, but if you're having a New Year's Day, boring day, and you want to go, you could still shop from the mini catalog. So this catalog then has many of the minis. That's things for the holidays. Lots of ideas for Christmas. Lots of ideas for Halloween. Some amazing Halloween sets. New papers. New ribbons. New bling. So a fun catalog. And now what we're having happen right now is called Celebration. Celebration is going from August through the end of September. And with each $50 purchase or $100 purchase, you can earn one of these products in Celebration. So some of them say free with a $50 purchase. So this is the Bedazzling specialty paper we used yesterday behind the seahorse. If you haven't seen that, you can go to YouTube or Facebook, or I'm going to have those posted on my blog here in a couple days. Beautiful to go behind that seahorse die. So that would be free with a $50 order. And we've got sheep free with a $50 order. Sheep dies free with a $50 order. So you could get both of those, the sheep and the sheep die, for $100 and more. Papers, just beautiful papers. But what I want to focus on today is this Summer Shadows dies. Free with a $100 purchase. And these dies cut out the images on the shaded summer. Plus, they have lots of other images that will cut out wonderful leaves. You could put this behind this, and this behind, wait, this went behind this. I should have had several of these done for you. But anyway, lots of flowers you can do with just the dies. And then you have this cutesy little thing. I don't know about you, but I really like the stamps and the dies that have the little dots on them. I think those make such a neat addition to so many of our cards with flowers. So you can see this up here has the dots. This has dots here in the middle, dots, little circular like bulbs there at the end. So I really like having those. And these will cut out. I'm going to leave those out because we're going to use them. And I'm going to show you how to do a partial die cutting. So let's get started. We'll put those aside. And again, this is the Shaded Summer. Shaded Summer is in the annual catalog. And let's see how fast I can find the page for you. Because it's always good to see the cards that the home office created with Shaded Summer. So it's on page 75. And these are some of the beautiful cards that the home office created. Aren't they lovely? And then colored different colors. And you can see where they cut out just the flowers using the dies. A wonderful set. And if you're not so much into flowers and want to do something else, but you still need some of these happy birthdays. Some friendships are just meant to be. Hello you and thank you. May the good you do come back to you. And on our card today, what I've set up our Stamparatus with thank you on the outside. And then I've used the other Stamparatus plates to stamp in white the Above and Beyond You Go There a Lot and shadow stamp it with the Evening Evergreen. So fun techniques you're going to learn. So grab a cuppa and let's get started. So I have the Stamparatus set up. I said in the old days, I said if I didn't have a Stamp-A-Majig, I would never have done made cards because I like to have things straight. I like to have them lined up, and I don't like to throw things in the trash that didn't line up. So the Stamparatus is a wonderful way that you've got a plate here, and I've already mounted these so that they're going to fit just perfectly on our front. And what I've got on here is I've lined out the green is where we're going to put our main cardstock, which is just jade. And then a piece of, oh, I must show you this. Yesterday we learned how to do this type of a look on vellum. But we have a whole set of paper in the catalog that has that type of a look with the how the ink runs and does that. It's called the Expressions in Ink. And see how here's one here with the gold on it. And then here's the one we're using. I think that's actually the back of this one. Let's check. Yes, there's your gold and green. But we're using this that doesn't have the gold as much on it. They've got pinks and they've got peach colored ones and they've got the dark, dark, dark rich green. It's a beautiful set of paper You're probably going to want to because you're going to use it all up so fast. So that's the paper I'm using. And Just Jade for the background. And the first thing that we're going to do is temporarily adhere our designer series paper to the very, very edge of our base. Now, we don't have Dotto anymore, but when we want to just have a temporary, what we do is use the oils in our fingers, and we put a little snail on the back of there, and then we just worry it, so to speak, so that our oils now from our hand will keep it from being permanent. So then we're going to line this up at the very, 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 very edge, leaving that 1/8 of an inch, top and bottom, but right at the very edge of our cardstock. Card base, okay? Then we're going to put that card base right in here. On this green line, I've marked the green is the Just Jade. And then the inside, I've marked where those two would go, and you're going to see why in a bit when we do the shaded stamping. You're going to love that. So we're going to get our... You want to have your magnets out of the way so that they're not being hit by the plate, and yet you want them to hold that tight because the joy of our Stamparatus is that we can stamp and restamp and re-restamp until we get exactly the image we want. Now I find that putting one of your stamp sets underneath the plate on the Stamparatus, it gives you a nice base so you're not getting so much ink out and around all the other. So I am using Evening Evergreen. We're going to ink this up. Nice and juicy. But I see a concern there. When I press too hard, I could wind up with a shadow on this thank you because I've got ink clear out here on the edges, maybe even right there. These I'm not too worried about, but somehow that thank you seems to show shadows once in a while, probably because I tilt the ink pad instead of holding it nice and flat. Okay, so we're going to stamp this. And what you'll find is sometimes you lift it up and it's like, well, but that little flower just didn't get there at all. But then you'll look at the actual stamp and the ink's still on the stamp. See how this is just still looks very, very inked up and did not come out on the paper. Don't know why. I just know with the Stamparatus, we just say, no problem. We'll just stamp it again. And I think I did this 3 times because you've got a dark paper here with Expressions in Ink paper, the designer series paper, and it has some pretty dark spots in it too. So some people are using what they call a Chucky. It's the bottom of a Yankee candle, and then they put felt on it, and then when they rub, they get a nice firm, instead of using your finger and then you miss certain places. So go online sometime and check on how to make a Chucky. I need to learn it myself because that one is not flat. It's from one that's not a Yankee candle, so it's not flat, so it won't work very well. So 3rd time's a charm. And I'm looking that I really want more. See, we have this darker designer series paper. So we're not seeing as much of the image that we'd like. I think that's pretty perfect. Oh, except right there. And sure enough, the ink is still in there. Let's not try to get it off of there. Let's just do another quick. Ooh, nice. I'm liking that a lot. That's so dark down there. I don't know that I can get it any darker on there with this. So I think we'll just leave it, call that good, and go on with the next step. So now we've got our image stamped. We're going to set this aside. Normally I wouldn't show you this, the actual process, and pull out this. I'm going to zoom back out a little here so that you're able to see a little bit more there. But I don't want you to see the computer. Because there's a trick with shadow stamping, or partially die cutting. So when we do this, I tend to put my 2 plates underneath my platforms to try and keep them as flat as possible. So when we do this, we want to take these dies we do want a plate under there. We want to take these dies and get some let's see, where's the top of this one? Oh, gonna have to look at it straight on. Okay, so we've got that one. And then we've got our large one, a little easier because you see right where the stem's supposed to be on that one. Oh, no guessing there. We're going to take lots of extra little stickies here. And we're going to put it out here because we're going to be partially die cutting just this edge. And our designer series paper is lined up completely on the edge of there. I'll show you why in a minute. Get this one all lined up. Okay, now the trick is I want to come 1 inch in. So I want, should have done this before I put the dies on, but I didn't. So I want 1 inch here. I want 1 inch here. That'll give me then if I go right here, I kind of get one in the middle area. I need those lines so that I know where to line up my top cutting pad. And this is the tricky part. Originally I tried turning this and putting this right on the edge and running it, and it pushed it every single time I did it. And I'm going, well, this isn't working at all. So now what you want to do, you want to put this down this way and line it up. Whoops. See, I'm doing exactly what I said I didn't want to do. Must be the natural thing, because I just want to cut from that edge. But this is where we want to cut. So we want to line that pad up here with the 1 inch. But I want to go further in so that I have more of that base helping me. And we've got that right on the 1 inch, right on the 1 inch on this side. And as soon as it grabs it, you know you've got it. And it won't cut where there's no plate. So you, and yes, every time we've done that in a club, it was like, now be careful, that's going to pop and go flying. So we had it against the wall so it would hit the wall. So you saw how I put this. This is your partial. I put it in and then put the pad right to that 1 inch. Okay, so let's see if it works. Hopefully I didn't need to run it twice. No, I don't. It looks great. We've got it cut there. So let's take this thing out of the screen. Zoom back up. And then do you see how that partially cut it? Now it didn't completely cut it because, you know, obviously there was no die in that middle. So then what we're going to do is go to our 1 inch line and cut. I got that right to the 1 inch. I'm going to kind of cut that out of the way so that I can get in here with my scissors. And I made a nice little line to go to that cut. And then we're going to come up here again. Here's our 1 inch line. I'm going to go to the side of it that I wind up cutting off the pencil line. Save me having to erase it. Now we've also cut off the temporary glue. So there's no glue there now. And now what you do is you're going to move that back to give you a nice border with that die. And that, my friends, is a partial die cut. So we're going to take this, glue it down. Ooh, and I see that there's a little piece there that was part of what was supposed to be cut there. That means it'll be partially here too. So we've got this. I'd love to have another a little hole showing through to the middle. So I didn't go quite far enough, but our little scissors help us, no problem. So then we're going to lay this back on here to give us that nice little border. And there will be a little that you're going to see on the opposite side. If that bothers you, be sure you can just cut her off. Let me show you what I mean here in a minute. So you've got these little bits of white here that if that bothers you, you could easily trim off from the back side. You can go to here and you could trim off those white pieces. So now we have our front pretty much done, and we've got a nice border. What we're going to do is we're going to take, I've got a 3/8 inch punch. I hope you've not thrown any of your punches away. I was looking at which one of the die sets. There's one of the dies, oh, I should remember. It has like 6 or 7 circles in it that we can use, and I'm going, oh my goodness, got to get that just for the sake of the circles. But what I'm going to do now is I want to make a place for my bow. So this is about 1 inch, so I'm just going to go about right here. And most of you could just eyeball this. That's fine for those of you who have that talent. I'm going to bring that straight across here. And that should be the middle over there. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my 3/8 inch punch, and I am going to punch out, putting that little mark right in the middle. Just punch out a little hole for my ribbon, and then go to this side and punch out a little hole for my ribbon. Putting that right in the middle. And then we've got 14 inches of ribbon here, and we can run that through. And see how pretty that looks where it's got the little hole in there? And then you didn't have to worry. I mean, you could easily just have put it behind that front one before you put it on, but then I couldn't have taught you something today. So I wanted to teach you something. So we did that. So this is what, I have the little hole here and here. And then we do a pretty little knot. I did not want to do a bow because I don't like to get cards so busy that they're kind of, you don't see anything because there's so much to see. Does that make any sense? So there we have our bow. And we're going to fuss with it a little because I like to round it where the big part, got a little bit more of that coming to the front. So I want to tighten it. And I saw, where did I see? On somebody's blog, they had purchased tweezers. That if you have to do this by yourself and you're trying to do a bow and you want to get it really tight, now I'll usually do this and lay it down. But as you can see here, we didn't do well at all getting it tight. So we're going to fuss with it a little more here because I want it to look nice for you. Get it over about the middle. This time I'm going to concentrate a little bit more. So tweezers, that they clamp. When you put them down on there, they clamp down. So I got to find, probably Amazon. Most people are going to Amazon and finding a lot of our crafting tools and things that help us. Hopefully it'll come here for your supplies of papers and ribbons that match and beautiful designer paper, but some of the tools we just have to go elsewhere because they're just so nice to have. This is where I call my husband and say, "Can you come hold this?" Okay, there we go. We're going to leave that for now. I don't want to fussy with it with you watching me here. Okay, and this is our ribbon. That's the new In Color ribbon. That we can get each of the new In Colors in this ribbon. It is, I think I'd write those down. Ribbons on page 139 and 140. And this is a 3/8 inch open weave in each of these colors, and I'm using the soft succulent here with these greens. So that's on page 139. Now for the inside, I am going to take a mint macaron. I originally just had the evening evergreen, and I decided I wanted some of this other color. So I got the mint macaron and said, nope, that's what we need. We need to have another layer in here. Just glued down directly. No words on it. Like I said, sometimes if I start at the bottom, but this we want to make sure that these edges are lined up nicely. Okay. And then we're going to have our evening evergreen in here, and I'll teach you one more technique and then I'll let you go. So this is going to be over top of here. And that gives us your dark with your light with that extra border here. So I really liked how that came together. I was pleased with it. So we're going to bring the Stamparatus back, and we're going to take this evening evergreen one. Evening evergreen layer. And I've marked on here the green, the bright green here was the actual card kit. The purple I thought I was going to use just for the evening evergreen, and then I decided no, I needed another color. So the purple is actually the mint macaron, and then I had to draw a place for the evening evergreen, and this is a critical step. I am going to put this so I can just barely see my pencil line, because with shadow stamping, you will see we are going to stamp in Whisper White, which obviously we're not going to stamp anything till we clean this up. Get all our evening evergreen off of here so we can do our white. This is the craft ink, the white craft ink that we sell. The other inks that we sell are water-based inks. The craft ink is an alcohol-based ink. And I use it a lot of times on the back of cards if you've got Night of Navy, or even like this green. Did I use it on this one? No, here I use the green. Black, if you want to stamp your name and you've got a black base, if you use this white, it makes a really nice way to stamp your name on the back of your cards. So I want this really good because I really don't want any evening evergreen in my white. So we're going to bring this back so I get a good solid, and I'm going to do just one extra. There might be a day when I'm able to have more than one stamp set, so you can set up and have various steps all set up to go without having to clean in between. But for now, be patient and I'll be right with you. And someday I will even learn how to fast forward so that you can fast forward through all this. Did you know you can go to the bottom right on your YouTubes as you're watching this, and you can hit a speed button and speed it up so it goes much faster, so you don't have to listen to it in slow, regular talk. You can speed it up and get it pretty fast. So now we're set again. And we're going to do shadow stamping. Shadow stamping involves stamping your image first in your white, and all of us had to do it 3 times to get a really, really nice white image. So I'll try and ink up super good. Oops, we don't want thank you on there. That has to go away. But I do have the other plate, has the greeting that says above and beyond, you go there a lot. So wonderful thing to say in the side, in the inside of thank you. For those customers who, you know, club, they're only required to place $25, but some of those customers are just wonderful. Even though it's, whew, that didn't stamp. They go above and beyond and they place those extra orders, and the hostess benefits and I benefit, and it just makes for a wonderful club. Huh. Well, need my Chucky, I guess. Or, you know what I probably needed? I never thought about it. We did this for all the club cards, and I never thought about the fact that it might need re-inked. But we're not going to do that. We're just going to do this. We're getting a pretty good image there. So we're just going to go again. Those little flowers on the edge. Don't know why. They're not stamping very well. That was overkill. Ooh, looking better, looking better. The only thing we need is probably this one right here, which even on the front was a problem area. And see, you've got your ink there. Let's press and hold. See if that'll help the ink transfer. Ooh, much better, much better. So that helped the ink transfer better. Now, this is where your Stamparatus is crucial. We're going to wash this off again. Because we don't want white in our evening evergreen either. This one's a little drier. I'm afraid that one's so wet that I might be leaving places too wet. Okay, so now what we're going to do, now you see your Stamparatus is critical. We're going to take this and very carefully, we're going to move it like 1/32. So where this was on, where we just covered up or just saw our pencil line, now we're going to move it over so we just don't see it, just barely, not a lot. And then we're going to grab our evening evergreen again, ink her up. We've moved it over about a 32nd of an inch. And what you'll find, this almost, when I saw it online the first time, I'm going, wait, I don't remember an embossing folder like that. I thought she'd embossed it. But it wasn't. She had done this shadow stamping. It was just amazing. Because what it does, the evening evergreen now is going to fill in all these nice dark areas, but you've moved it. So you're going to have a white border, and you're going to have this evening evergreen shadow. I'm going to hold it to just kind of leave it there and see if the ink transfers a little better. Oh my goodness, yes. Wow. So you see you've got just a little of your border. I'm going to do it one more time though. I want a little more of the dark. The white is just doing great. And we've got that shadow right on the stem perfectly. Love it when things come together perfectly, especially when I'm on the video. That's when things usually don't come out quite as perfectly. But we want those edges nice and dark. And see, again, this is not, that should all be filled in right there. Oh, yes, yes. And then you've got that white edge. And just because we can, we're going to do it one more time. I don't see any areas that really need it, but I want that dark shadow in there. So this is shadow stamping. You stamp in white, you move over a 32nd of an inch, and then you stamp in your, in this case, evening evergreen. And then you have that wonderful shadow. And it's the weirdest thing in your eyes. It almost looks like you have embossed it. But we haven't. We've just done shadow stamping. So now, basically, you would do, whoosh. This will go in here. Oh, and I forgot to do the, this other plate on the Stamparatus had above and beyond. You go there a lot. And you would do the same with it. And we really have all those lines marked out. So we know what we need to do. So let's just do it right quick. And then these will be ready to send to my club members. So we have this one. And see, this would not have fit in between here because these, like the thank you did on the front, but it wouldn't have fit here. So we're going to do it separately. Let me turn it this way so you can see it. So we're going to ink this in white. Craft white ink. Above and beyond, you go there a lot. I'm sure you have people in your life that are that way too. Perfect. We don't need 2 and 3 times with that. Oh, that's the really wet one. Let's go back to the drier one. You don't want to get, the ink will smear if it's too wet, so you don't want to risk that. So now you go to your evening evergreen. And stamp your shadow. Oh, I didn't move it over. Oh, now it's going to be right on top of it. Okay. Getting in a hurry here. So, shadow stamping. The first thing is to stamp in your white, craft white. So we've got our white ink. And thankfully, this one's stamped really nicely the first time. Above and beyond, you go there a lot. Because I stamped exactly with the green, it now looks a little like a mint macaron, doesn't it? But we have mint macaron, and it's matching, so we'll add a little more white and call it a design opportunity that we made mint macaron. So now again, we're going to take our little magnets off, move it 1/32 of an inch, put our magnets back on, in case we need to do it more than once. And now we stamp in the evening evergreen. All the dimensions of the cards that I've made, this card and the one that I did yesterday. I'm waiting till I got this one done so I could post them on the blog together, because we did 2 cards at club and I want to post them at the same time. So my next step will be to post these on the blog, and I will have all the dimensions of each of the cards listed. The seahorse one from yesterday and this one. Voila, do you see? Isn't that cool? And now it's almost really cool because we've got mint macaron. So you've got that shading with the evening evergreen coming in. And we have our 2 plates. I actually ordered extra plates, so if I ever needed 4 plates, I would have them. So I've got lots of extra there to have. Then while this is out, because I need to get this ready to mail, I have a little stamp that I've used many, many times that I bought from one of the Stampin' Up! Stamps. From my heart to yours at Stampin' Up! And I kind of like signing things, so it's kind of fun to put your name on a piece of artwork like this, like most artists do. And then we're going to put this in here. Now, when you do this in here, you got to be a little careful because you want to make sure that your images are hidden so that it's not like this. You don't want it to show those white images, so you want to come out here like this. But you've got wiggle room. So you want to make sure it's far enough back. And then I'm going to go to the inside, and I want to make sure it's lined up on the inside too. You hate to get to this point in the card and all of a sudden it's as crooked as it can be and you're going, no! Of course, like I've taught everybody, that's why we have undo. So if I do this, and it looks nice and straight, now I need to go down just as much as I can on that, because I have a little extra where I chose to add that mint macaron. And then we're going to make sure it's hidden. Oops, sorry. Can't see a thing, can you? Want to go down a little. Well, I've got my finger sticking to it there at the back. So that's making it not work so well. So I'm just going to pull that out like that. I've got one finger holding where it needs to go. And the other finger lining her up. Voila! And there we have it. Partial die cutting. We learned a new way to attach our ribbon. And shadow stamping, where we move our card just a little to the side of the white. And you know, I tried it. It's kind of interesting. I don't know why. I moved it to the left. Didn't like it. Moved it to the right. I liked it. So you may have to, try a little piece with the stamp that you're using and see which one you like better. But I found that moving it to the right looked better for me. And then, of course, we have our in-color jewels. No card's complete without a few jewels, right? So I took jewels. And I put one by the thank you. We really want to emphasize that. And then I put one up here and one just over here in the open area. And the card was done. So thank you for joining me today as we learned a few new techniques with card making. My name again is Karen Decker. I have a blog called Stampphilosopher. stampphilosopher.com, and there's a real fun on how I came up with little Sal for my cartoon character to be my little. I talked to him on my blog, and he asked me questions, and it's just kind of fun to have little Sal. So our hostess code through about the third week of September is WKQ 6CJ7R. So if you're going to order from me, I would love it if you'd order with me. Choose me as your demonstrator. There's many of them out there, but I'd be honored to try and bring a pinch of creativity to spice up your crafting world. So come follow my blog by entering your email, and every time I post, you will get an update, and I'm trying to make the updates with videos. So sometimes there's a little lag there, like this one. But eventually then they are there, and you can see all the directions. So you can make this card yourself with other dies, other stamps, and do some partial die cutting yourself. So I appreciate you joining me today. I'll sit down here in just a moment and say goodbye. So thank you for joining me. We did that card in under an hour. It's only been a little 51 minutes. So hopefully you can scroll through the parts that you already knew and learn some new things and come back again for the next card. Have a great day. And for those of you, stay cool where you're in that terribly hot weather.